And I think if I have somebody and I go there and they come up to me and start talking to me, that's how like I would stay around because I would have that one person and then eventually keep getting that community. Because community is really one of the biggest parts of being in a church as well.
Hello and welcome to Keeping Up with the Youtherans, your podcast to learn about what the young people really think about the North Carolina Synod and what the church today is up to. Today, I'm here with Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn,
Hi.
tell us about yourself and how you connect to the Lutheran Church and whatever about your story you want to share with our audience.
So my name is Kaitlyn Losh. I'm from Salisbury, North Carolina, and I go to St. John's Lutheran in Salisbury. And I've been kind of connected to the Lutheran Church, I feel like forever. Yeah, I don't go a Sunday without going to church, I think. And I'm also been a part of the LYO board for three years. And I've been a Synod Council representative. This is my second and final year. But next year, so I'm a senior, and I'll be attending Western Carolina next year for majoring in business and a minor in marketing.
Awesome. Yeah, you're really connected. Were you baptized Lutheran?
I was baptized Lutheran in Concord, and then we moved. I couldn't tell you the church. And then we moved to Salisbury, and my dad loved St. John's because he went to St. John's in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Nice. That's super cool. So, what is one word you would describe your congregation and your experience of church as?
Honestly, my like congregation, like specifically talking about like where I go to church, I feel like we're just like one big family. We all know each other. Like St. John's, if anybody's watching that goes to St. John's or St. John's, like it's a huge church, but I feel like everybody still really knows everybody, which is like my favorite thing about it. And I've known everybody since I was little and like growing up.
So, do you know when it started to feel like a family to you?
Definitely after I was confirmed, it did a lot because I wasn't as involved growing like in Kingdom Kids or youth group until I got confirmed, and that's when I was like, "Well, I really actually want to like be involved with this and be involved with the fellowship as well."
What was your confirmation time like?
It was scary. Pastor James, shout out to him. He really drilled it into us, and we are going every Sunday for about 2 hours and all that. But it was 100% worth it. Getting to like be confirmed and like all your family watching that, like all my family has been confirmed through the Lutheran Church. So it was really cool. And then I got confirmed in 2021 or 2021. So I talked about like my life on how I grew with my faith during COVID because my mom's an ICU nurse, so she was definitely firsthand at that. So it definitely gave me something to talk about, and COVID really helped me with like my faith, I think.
That's awesome. So, you've described your congregation, St. John's in Salisbury, as a family, but you've also described it as a big church. So, what helps you feel like you belong in a church of like so many people and so many generations?
I think if you know me, I'm a very outgoing personality. So I don't like, for me, I like the bigger church and I like knowing everybody, but I also like the church because of like the youth as well. We have a huge youth and I help out with all the nurseries and the youth groups. So I just think that helps me want to go like expand into my like relationship with Christ even more, not just through the sermons and the pastors, the people.
I love that. How do you stay connected to God when church feels a little maybe boring or frustrating?
Honestly, so I go to like I said, I try to go every Sunday. I try to listen to the sermon, but we all know there can be some boring ones, and I started to get through it anyways, but I honestly think youth group or like those smaller like Bible studies are my way of getting to know the Lord without when even it is boring. I try to find like the ways that I like to learn about it and expand my relationship with Christ.
How how big of a part do you think those like friendships and relationships are to helping you stay connected to church?
I think they're, like, one of the biggest parts, honestly. I don't think if I didn't have these friends and these people I knew at church, I would wanna go as much. Yes, like, I wanna go learn about the Lord, but I also wanna, like, have these relationships with people that are also learning about the Lord.
Love that. So are there parts of our Lutheran tradition that are important to you and have impacted your faith life?
Yeah, like, when you say Lutheran tradition, what do you mean by?
Like things you learned in confirmation or things that you experienced Sunday after Sunday, things that maybe like a mega church doesn't have.
I feel like, in confirmation, we learned a lot about forgiveness, and forgiveness for me was one of the hardest things I could ever learn. I've had lots of stuff with friends and all that. Every high school girl goes through that, and, I definitely needed to learn the forgiveness part, so I think church has really helped me learning about forgiveness and that how God forgives, so I feel like I should forgive if God can.
Is the beginning of worship when we do that confession and forgiveness part, is that pretty important to you?
It's very important to me. My legs start to hurt a little bit because I wanna sit down, but it's really important.
Yeah, awesome. So if you could design the ideal church for young people, what would it look like?
So I go my church says a contemporary and a traditional service. I honestly think I still will go towards the contemporary. I think it definitely leads more toward the younger generation. So definitely a contemporary service with, but I want, like, I think the sermons, they could, like, sermon series on how it really impacts like younger people's lives and like what they're going through, like college stuff and new jobs and how to live a life without their family. So I think that would be an ideal church for me.
That's a great idea. I don't think I've ever heard a sermon about getting a job or going to college. So that's a great idea to
Yeah.
help pastors out there. So the reason we're doing the podcast is, I travel around all over the place and people are always like, where are the young people and how do we keep them? So what is your advice to folks out there who are wondering how to do that in the church?
Honestly, I think young people just want to be like noticed. I think they wanted people to know that they're at church and that they're trying, but they also like, I know for me, my biggest fear next year of going to college is finding a new church. And I think if I have somebody and I go there and they come up to me and start talking to me, that's how like would stay around because I would have that one person and then eventually keep getting that community. This community is really one of the biggest parts of being at a church as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for your time today. You were awesome and super bubbly. Do you have any other last words you want to leave us with?
No, I don't think so. I've loved all my time with the Synod. I'm gonna be so sad without it, but I'll still be here in spirit.
Well, hopefully we'll connect you to a lovely campus ministry.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Tune in next week for another Keeping Up with the Youtherans.